The massive alien vessels appeared in Earth's orbit without warning on a quiet autumn morning in 2145. Their sleek, silvery hulls gleamed in the sunlight as they positioned themselves above major cities across the globe. The sight sent chills down the spines of those who witnessed their arrival. Captain He-Jin Park maintained his composure as he studied the holographic displays at the United Earth Defense Command Center in Seoul. His dark eyes narrowed as he analyzed the newcomers' formation. The vessels were arranged in what appeared to be a non-threatening pattern, but his military training made him wary of their strategic positioning. "Their technology is far beyond anything we've seen," remarked one of the technicians, staring at the readings with a mixture of awe and concern. The alien ship's energy signatures were off the charts, suggesting capabilities that made Earth's most advanced weaponry look primitive in comparison. The aliens called themselves the Meridians. Their first transmission came through clear and crisp, translated perfectly into every major Earth language. They spoke of peace, cultural exchange, and sharing knowledge. Their ambassador, a tall, elegant being with iridescent skin, made a striking impression during the initial diplomatic meeting. Lieutenant Yuna Lee worked tirelessly alongside He-Jin during those first weeks, coordinating communications between Earth's leaders and the Meridian representatives. "They're requesting another meeting," she announced one morning, her fingers moving swiftly across the holographic interface. "They say they have a proposal for technological cooperation." He-Jin nodded, but something felt wrong. The exchanges had been too perfect, too smooth. The Meridians seemed to know exactly what to say, exactly how to ease human fears. They had answers for every question, solutions for every concern. It was as if they had done this many times before. The truth revealed itself 3 months into the diplomatic relations. He-Jin was reviewing security footage when he noticed a pattern in the Meridian shipboard activities. They were scanning Earth's defense systems, mapping population centers, and gathering data on human social structures. His blood ran cold as he realized their true intentions. Before he could raise the alarm, the first attacks began. The Meridians struck with surgical precision, targeting places that would cause the most emotional devastation. Schools full of children, family homes, community centers where people gathered to celebrate and connect. All were reduced to ash in seconds. He-Jin stood helpless at his command station, watching as the orbital bombardment turned Busan into a sea of fire. His wife, daughter, and parents had been there, attending his nephew's school performance. The last message he received from them was a photo of them smiling in the auditorium, excited to watch the show. The Meridian strategy became clear as reports flooded in from around the world. They weren't just attacking military targets or infrastructure. They were specifically targeting family units, trying to break humanity's spirit by destroying their emotional bonds. It was a calculated move, one they had perfected across countless worlds. In the chaos that followed, survivors learned the horrible truth. Earth wasn't the Meridians' first target. They were systematic hunters of emerging civilizations, identifying and eliminating any species that showed potential to advance beyond a certain technological threshold. They had left a trail of devastated worlds across the galaxy, each conquered using the same cruel tactics. He-Jin worked through his grief, channeling his pain into determination. As the skies above Earth burned with the aftermath of the initial assault, he gathered his remaining officers. "They think they know humanity," he told them, his voice steady despite the tears in his eyes. "They think breaking our families will break our spirit, but they don't understand. This will only make us fight harder." The command center became a hub of frantic activity as survivors coordinated their responses. Emergency protocols were activated, and underground shelters began filling with those who had escaped the first wave of attacks. The Meridians had made a critical mistake. They had assumed humans would crumble in the face of such personal losses. Instead, the shared tragedy united humanity like never before. Old rivalries and national divisions melted away as people joined forces to protect what remained of their civilization. The loss of loved ones didn't weaken their resolve. It strengthened it, forging a determination that would soon make the Meridians regret their actions. As He-Jin stared at the burning horizon, he made a silent promise to his family and to all those who had been lost. The Meridians had destroyed countless civilizations before, but humanity would be different. They would be the ones to end the Meridians' reign of terror, no matter the cost. The war for Earth's survival had begun, and humanity's greatest strength, their capacity to love, and their fierce protection of that love, would prove to be the Meridians' ultimate undoing. The underground bunker hummed with activity as He-Jin made his way through the dimly lit corridors. 6 months had passed since the devastating Meridian attacks, and humanity had adapted to life beneath the surface. The ruins of Incheon lay silent above them, a ghost city serving as their shield from alien detection. He-Jin paused at a security checkpoint, where tired-eyed guards verified his identity. Their faces showed the same haunted look that everyone carried now, the look of people who had lost everything but refused to give up. The guards nodded him through, and he continued toward the research sector. Colonel Mirai Kim was waiting for him in the main laboratory. She stood beside a workbench covered in dismantled alien technology, her lab coat stained with grease and her hair tied back messily. Dark circles under her eyes revealed countless sleepless nights spent studying the enemy's weapons. "Captain Park," she greeted him, gesturing to the array of equipment before her. "I think you'll want to see this." She picked up what appeared to be a modified version of a Meridian energy weapon. The original sleek alien design now bore the marks of human innovation: additional cooling systems, modified power cells, and a grip better suited to human hands. "We've managed to salvage quite a bit of their equipment from crashed ships and destroyed outposts," Mirai explained, her eyes lighting up with professional pride. "The Meridians made one crucial mistake. They underestimated human ingenuity. Their technology isn't as mysterious as they'd like us to believe." He-Jin examined the weapon carefully. "You've modified it." "Better than that," Mirai said, leading him to a firing range at the far end of the lab. She lifted the weapon, aimed at a target, and pulled the trigger. The burst of energy that emerged was more focused than the original Meridian weapons, and the recoil was noticeably reduced. "We've improved their design," she continued. "Their weapons are powerful but inefficient. We've managed to increase the energy output while reducing power consumption by 30%. Around them, dozens of scientists and engineers worked at various stations, each focused on different aspects of alien technology. Some studied propulsion systems, others worked on communication devices, and a few were analyzing the mysterious alloys used in Meridian ship construction. The Earth Defense Coalition had come together in the months following the attack, gathering surviving experts from every field. Military strategists worked alongside quantum physicists. Computer programmers collaborated with metallurgists, and former enemies became allies in the face of a common threat. "Show me what else you've discovered," He-Jin said, following Mirai through the laboratory. She stopped at a large containment chamber where a partially reconstructed Meridian shield generator pulsed with a soft blue light. "This is our biggest breakthrough yet," she said, pulling up a holographic display of the device's internal workings. "Their shield technology operates on principles similar to our theoretical force field designs. They're just centuries ahead in development, or at least they were." A young engineer approached them, carrying a tablet filled with test results. "Colonel Kim, the latest simulations are complete. The hybrid shield design is showing a 93% success rate." Mirai's face broke into a rare smile. "You see, Captain, we're not just copying their technology, we're improving it. Humans have always been good at taking existing ideas and making them better." The implications were enormous. If they could successfully replicate and enhance Meridian technology, they might stand a chance against the alien invaders. He-Jin felt hope stirring in his chest for the first time since losing his family. "How soon can we begin production?" he asked. "We've already started," Mirai replied, leading him to another section of the facility. "Here, Automated manufacturing units worked around the clock, producing components for their hybrid weapons and defense systems. "These are just the prototypes," she explained. "Once we perfect the designs, we can share them with other resistance bunkers around the world. The Meridians thought they could break us by destroying our families and forcing us underground. Instead, they've given us the time and motivation to study their technology and find its weaknesses." Hajin watched the machines work, remembering the days before the attack when humanity had dreamed of reaching the stars. Now they were learning the secrets of advanced alien technology, but at a terrible cost. "Your team has done amazing work," he said quietly. "How many of you lost family members in the attacks?" Mayre's expression darkened. "All of us. That's why we work so hard. Every improvement we make to their technology, every weakness we discover, it's all for the people we lost." The Earth Defense Coalition was more than just a military organization. It was humanity's answer to the Meridians' cruelty, a testament to human resilience and adaptability. While the aliens believed they had broken the human spirit, they had instead created something stronger, a unified human race determined to survive and fight back. As Hajin left the laboratory that day, he felt a shift in the air. The underground bunkers were no longer just places of refuge. They were becoming factories of innovation, forges where humanity's future weapons were being crafted. The Meridians had tried to destroy them, but instead, they had forced humanity to evolve, to adapt, and to grow stronger. The war was far from over, but for the first time since the attacks, victory seemed possible. Not just survival, but true victory, and perhaps even justice for all they had lost. Deep within the underground complex, Dr. Dae-sung Choi hunched over his workstation, his tired eyes fixed on streams of alien data flowing across multiple screens. Empty coffee cups littered his desk, testament to the endless hours he spent trying to understand the Meridian communication patterns. The loss of his research team in the initial attacks had changed him. Once outgoing and cheerful, he now rarely spoke to anyone, pouring all his energy into cracking the alien codes. His dedication paid off one cold morning when patterns began emerging from the seemingly random data. "Captain Park." "Colonel Kim," he called out, his voice cracking from disuse. "I need you to see this immediately." Hajin and Mayre arrived at his station minutes later, finding the cryptologist practically vibrating with excitement. His usually disheveled appearance was even more pronounced, but his eyes sparkled with discovery. "Look at this," he said, pointing to one of his screens. "I've been analyzing their communication patterns for months. At first, it seemed like random noise, but there's a structure to it. They use a base 12 mathematical system for everything." Mireille leaned closer, studying the data streams. "You've broken their code." "Better than that," Dae-sung replied, typing commands into his system. "I've discovered they're completely systematic in everything they do. These aren't just military communications. This is their entire history." The screens filled with translated data, revealing centuries of Meridian conquest across the galaxy. Hajin's face darkened as he read about civilization after civilization falling to their attacks. "They follow the same pattern every time," Dae-sung explained, pulling up comparative data. "First contact, peaceful approach, study of the target civilization's weaknesses, then a coordinated strike aimed at breaking their spirit. They've done this hundreds of times." Mayre's hands clenched into fists. "How many worlds?" 342 confirmed conquests, Dae-sung answered, his voice heavy. "But their predictability, that's their weakness. They've never changed their tactics because they've never needed to. They've never faced a species that survived their initial attack." Hajin studied the data carefully. "Show me their tactical patterns." Dae-sung pulled up more screens, revealing detailed information about Meridian military operations. "Their shield technology is particularly interesting," he said, highlighting specific sections. "They use a fixed-frequency defense system. It's incredibly powerful, but it can't adapt quickly to changes." Mayre's eyes widened as she understood the implications. Our electronic warfare systems. Exactly. Dae-sung nodded eagerly. Human military technology specializes in rapidly changing frequencies. We develop these systems to counter enemy radar and communications. The Meridians have never encountered anything like it. The discovery energized the entire resistance. Teams of engineers and scientists gathered around Dae-sung's station as he explained his findings. The Meridians' rigid adherence to established patterns had made them vulnerable to human adaptability. There's more, Dae-sung continued, bringing up new data streams. Their entire empire operates on precise schedules and patterns. Supply lines, patrol routes, even their power distribution networks. Everything follows predictable cycles. Hae-jin began formulating strategies immediately. If we can disrupt these patterns, we can throw their entire system into chaos. Mayray finished. They've never had to deal with an unpredictable enemy before. Dae-sung worked with renewed vigor, teaching others how to read and interpret the Meridian communications. Each decoded message revealed more about their enemy's rigid nature and the potential weaknesses it created. Their society values order above everything, he explained during a briefing session. They see their predictability as a strength, a sign of their superiority over what they consider lesser species. They don't understand that adaptation and chaos can be advantages. The resistance began testing the theory, launching small raids with varying frequencies against Meridian shields. The results confirmed Dae-sung's analysis. The alien defenses couldn't adapt quickly enough to counter rapidly changing attack patterns. More importantly, the Meridians showed no signs of changing their tactics. Even when initial attacks succeeded, they stuck to their established protocols, unable or unwilling to adapt to new circumstances. It's almost like they can't think creatively, Mayray observed after another successful test. They have all this advanced technology, but they use it in the most basic, straightforward ways. Dae-sung nodded, still studying incoming data streams. They've never needed to evolve. Every civilization they've encountered has fallen to their standard tactics. Until now. The breakthrough gave humanity something it desperately needed: hope. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting with a real chance of victory. As Hae-jin left the communications center that evening, he paused to watch the teams at work. Humans had always excelled at adapting, at finding new ways to overcome challenges. The Meridians' greatest strength, their absolute order and predictability, would prove to be their ultimate weakness against humanity's chaos and creativity. The war was far from over, but for the first time, they understood their enemy. And understanding, as every military strategist knew, was the first step toward victory. The modified human ships moved silently through the darkness of the Kuiper Belt, their new stealth systems making them nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. Commander Subin Kang stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, watching as her small fleet approached the Meridian mining colony. 3 ships, that's all humanity could spare for this mission. The vessels had been rebuilt using captured Meridian technology combined with human engineering. Their hulls were darker than the space around them, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Inside, crews worked in near silence, every person aware that this mission could change the course of the war. 5 minutes to target range, the navigation officer whispered, though there was no need for silence in space. Old habits died hard. Subin studied the tactical display showing the mining colony. The Meridians had built it 6 months ago, using it to extract rare elements from the belt's asteroids. Their defenses were minimal. They never expected an attack this far from Earth. All ships confirm ready status, she ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. This would be humanity's first offensive action since the devastating attacks on Earth. The colony grew larger on their screens. Subin saw the massive processing facilities, the storage units, and the small defense platforms that protected them. The Meridians had built everything with their usual precision. Neat, orderly, and predictable. Begin attack pattern Delta, Subin commanded. The 3 ships split apart, each heading for its designated target. They had trained for months for this moment, practicing maneuvers until they could perform them perfectly. The first sign that something was wrong came from the Meridian defense platforms. They turned sluggishly, their sensors struggling to lock onto the approaching human ships. The new stealth systems were working better than expected. Weapons range in 30 seconds, the tactical officer reported. All systems ready. Su Bin took a deep breath. Remember your training. Remember why we're here. Fire on my mark. The seconds ticked by slowly. Su Bin thought of her brother's family in Seoul, gone in the first wave of attacks. She pushed the memory aside, focusing on the mission. Mark. All 3 ships fired simultaneously. The new hybrid weapons, human ingenuity combined with Meridian technology, performed perfectly. Beams of energy struck the defense platforms, their rapidly shifting frequencies overwhelming the Meridian shields. The platforms exploded silently in the vacuum of space. Alarms began blaring throughout the colony. But it was too late. The human ships were already moving to their secondary targets. Mining facilities targeted, the tactical officer reported. Firing solution ready. Take them out, Su Bin ordered. More explosions bloomed in the darkness. The processing plants, the storage facilities, the power generators, one by one, they fell to the precise human attack. A Meridian distress signal burst from the colony, but it cut off abruptly as the communication array exploded. Su Bin allowed herself a small smile. The enemy was finally experiencing what it felt like to be helpless. Colony defenses neutralized, her tactical officer reported. Beginning Phase 2. Boarding parties launched from all 3 ships, their small craft heading for the remaining intact structures. The teams wore advanced suits combining Earth technology with captured Meridian systems. Su Bin watched the operation unfold on her tactical display. The boarding parties breached the colony's outer halls, encountering scattered resistance. The Meridian defenders fought back, but they were unprepared for the fury of human soldiers who had lost everything. Central control room secured, came the report from the ground team. Downloading their databases now. Within an hour, the entire colony was under human control. The surviving Meridians were contained, their technology was being stripped for study, and their databases were yielding priceless information about fleet movements and colonial operations. Su Bin gathered her crew in the colony's main hall. They stood among the wreckage of Meridian equipment, their faces showing a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. Today, we've proven they can bleed, she announced, her voice echoing in the captured facility. The Meridians thought they broke us when they attacked Earth. Instead, they created an enemy unlike any they faced before. Now we show them how humans fight when everything is taken from them. The crews cheered, the sound ringing through the metal halls. It wasn't just the victory they were celebrating. It was the proof that humanity could fight back effectively. Analysis of the captured data began immediately. The colony's computers revealed Meridian patrol routes, supply line schedules, and communication protocols. More importantly, they showed that the aliens truly didn't know how to handle an enemy that refused to be broken. They're already trying to understand what happened here, one of the intelligence officers reported, reading through intercepted Meridian communications. They can't comprehend how we managed to destroy their colony with just 3 ships. Su Bin studied the streams of incoming data. The Meridians had never lost a colony before, never experienced a successful counterattack from a species they had targeted. Their confusion was evident in their response. They were following standard protocols instead of adapting to the new threat. As her crews worked to strip the colony of useful technology and information, Su Bin sent a brief message back to Earth. First victory achieved. The hunt has begun. For the first time since the devastating attacks on Earth, humanity had hope. They had struck back successfully against their seemingly invincible enemy, proving that the Meridians could be beaten. More importantly, they had captured vital intelligence that would help plan future operations. The war was far from over, but the balance had shifted. Humanity was no longer merely surviving. They were fighting back. And the Meridians were about to learn just how dangerous a species could be when it had nothing left to lose. The underground shipyard stretched for kilometers beneath the ruins of what had once been Poang. Massive manufacturing facilities, hidden deep within the earth, worked day and night building humanity's new fleet. The air hummed with the sound of construction as Chief Engineer Jaiwan Park walked through the facility, inspecting the latest additions to what would become known as the Ghost Fleet. Jaiwan stopped beside the hull of a nearly completed vessel. Its surface was unlike anything built before, a perfect blend of human stealth technology and Meridian materials. The metal seemed to drink in the light, creating an effect that made the eye want to slide away from it. "Beautiful, isn't she?" Jaiwan said to the group of engineers following him. The Meridians never developed true stealth technology because they never needed it. Their sensors were always superior to their enemies. Until now. The ship's design reflected everything humanity had learned about their enemies. The Meridians relied heavily on predictable patterns and standard detection methods. They never expected to face an enemy that could simply vanish from their sensors. Workers moved around them, assembling the complex internal systems that would make these ships nearly undetectable. Each vessel combined Earth's most advanced stealth systems with captured Meridian technology, creating something entirely new. "Watch this," Jaiwan said, activating a panel on the ship's hull. The metal rippled, its surface seeming to fade in and out of existence. "We've adapted their shield technology to bend light and sensor waves around the hull. Even their most advanced detection systems won't be able to get a solid reading." The engineering team had worked countless hours to achieve this breakthrough. They had studied every piece of captured Meridian technology, learning its strengths and weaknesses. More importantly, they had found ways to improve upon it. "The Meridians think their technology is perfect," Jaiwan explained as they moved through the facility. "They haven't made any significant improvements to their designs in centuries. Why would they? No one had ever survived long enough to challenge them." Each production bay held ships in various stages of completion. Some were small strike craft, designed for quick hit-and-run attacks. Others were larger vessels that would serve as mobile bases for the growing human fleet. In one section, engineers were installing the hybrid drive systems. These engines combine Meridian power technology with human innovations, allowing the ships to move faster and more quietly than anything the aliens had encountered. "The real advantage isn't just the stealth systems," Jaiwan said, showing them the engine designs. "It's how we're integrating everything. Each ship can adapt its signature on the fly, changing how it appears to enemy sensors. The Meridians won't just be unable to see us. They won't know what they're looking for." The prototype vessel in the main bay was nearly ready for its first test flight. G1 had personally overseen every aspect of its construction, making sure each component was perfect. This ship would prove that humanity could not only match Meridian technology, but surpass it. The hardest part was the crew interfaces, he explained, leading the group into the ship's bridge. Meridian systems were designed for their biology, their way of thinking. We had to rebuild everything from the ground up to work with human operators. The bridge looked nothing like traditional human or Meridian designs. It was a perfect fusion of both technologies, created to take advantage of human adaptability and creativity, while harnessing the power of alien systems. Each station can reconfigure itself based on the operator's needs. Jaiwan demonstrated, touching one of the control panels. The displays shifted, adapting to show different information layouts. The ship learns from its crew, becoming more effective with each mission. Production was ramping up across all facilities. Similar shipyards had been built in hidden locations around the world, each contributing to the growing Ghost Fleet. Every ship represented countless hours of work, innovation, and determination. "The Meridians think they understand human technology," Jaiwan said, watching as workers installed the final components in the prototype. "They analyzed our weapons, our defenses, our capabilities, but they never understood our greatest strength, our ability to take something and make it better." The Ghost Fleet was more than just a collection of ships. It was humanity's answer to Meridian superiority, a declaration that humans would not simply adopt alien technology. They would improve it, adapt it, and turn it into something new. As Jai-1 completed his inspection, alerts sounded throughout the facility. The prototype was ready for its first full systems test. Crews rushed to their stations, eager to see the result of their hard work. "This is what they never expected," Jai-1 said quietly, watching the ship power up. They thought they were dealing with another predictable species that would try to copy their technology. Instead, they created an enemy that could take their own weapons and make them obsolete. The prototype systems came online one by one, each performing perfectly. As the stealth systems activated, the massive ship seemed to fade from view, becoming little more than a shadow in the vast underground chamber. Jai-1 smiled as he read the test results. The Ghost Fleet would soon be ready for action, and the Meridians would learn that their technological superiority was no longer absolute. Humanity had taken their best technology and made it better, creating something the aliens had never imagined possible. The war was about to enter a new phase, and for the first time, humans would have the advantage. The Ghost Fleet would strike from nowhere, vanishing before the enemy could respond, proving that human ingenuity could overcome even the most advanced alien technology. Strategist Min Ji-yoon stared at the vast network of holographic displays surrounding her command station. Each screen showed different parts of the Meridian communication network, now compromised and under human control. Her team had spent months infiltrating these systems, planting seeds of doubt and confusion throughout the alien empire. "Send the next package," she ordered, her fingers moving across the control panel. The false information flowed into the Meridian networks, perfectly formatted to match their rigid communication protocols. It was beautiful in its simplicity. Reports of human ships appearing and disappearing, phantom attacks that never happened, and warnings of breaches in their supposedly secure systems. The Meridians' own strict adherence to order and procedure made them vulnerable. They never questioned information that came through proper channels and followed correct formats. Min-ji's team had learned to replicate their communication patterns perfectly. "Look at this," one of her analysts called out, pointing to a screen showing Meridian fleet movements. Their ships were changing course, responding to threats that didn't exist. Entire battle groups were being diverted to chase shadows. Min-ji watched with satisfaction as the false reports spread through the enemy network. "They trust their systems too much," she explained to her team. They never considered that their own communication channels could be used against them. The psychological warfare campaign had begun small, a few altered patrol reports, some missing supply manifests. But it grew more ambitious as they learned more about Meridian psychology. The aliens couldn't handle uncertainty. Their entire society was built on predictability and control. Messages began arriving from other parts of the empire. Species that had been conquered by the Meridians were watching, seeing the mighty empire stumble for the first time. Some had already begun testing their chains, launching small rebellions against their oppressors. Another uprising reported in the Centauri sector, an operator announced. "The local Meridian garrison is requesting reinforcements, but all nearby forces are responding to our phantom attacks." Min-ji nodded, adjusting her strategy in real time. "Send confirmation that reinforcements are on the way, but route them to the wrong coordinates. Let's keep them chasing their own tails." The Meridian command structure was starting to show signs of strain. Their responses became increasingly erratic as they tried to deal with threats they couldn't see or understand. Reports of Ghost Fleet attacks came from dozens of systems simultaneously. Impossible, but the Meridians couldn't be sure. "They're starting to doubt their own sensors," Min-ji observed, reading through intercepted communications. "Their commanders are hesitating before every decision, wondering if what they're seeing is real." The effects rippled through the empire. Supply lines were disrupted as ships refused to follow their regular routes. Defense stations went on high alert at the slightest sensor ghost. The precise, orderly Meridian military was becoming paranoid and jumpy. Then came the masterpiece of Min-ji's campaign, the the false rebellion. Using captured Meridian codes, her team sent messages making it appear that several colony worlds were rising up simultaneously. The response was exactly what they had hoped for. "Look at this," Minji said, showing her team the incoming data. "They're pulling ships from the Earth Defense Fleet to deal with rebellions that don't exist. Their entire command structure is falling apart." The Meridians had never faced an enemy that could turn their own systems against them. Their rigid hierarchy and dependence on reliable information became a weakness when that information couldn't be trusted. Reports began arriving from resistance groups on conquered worlds. Seeing the Meridians' confusion, many took the opportunity to launch real rebellions. The empire that had seemed invincible was now fighting battles on multiple fronts, never sure which threats were real and which were human deceptions. "We're not just fighting their ships," Minji told her team during a brief rest period. "We're fighting their confidence, their certainty in their own superiority. And we're winning." The psychological impact was devastating. Meridian commanders began second-guessing every order. Their ships hesitated before engaging, wondering if they were chasing another human phantom. The perfect order of their empire was crumbling into chaos. As the deception campaign continued, Minji's team intercepted something unexpected: Meridian commanders arguing among themselves. Some wanted to abandon outlying colonies to concentrate their forces. Others insisted on maintaining their standard patrol patterns. The unity that had made them so powerful was breaking down. "Send the next wave," Minji ordered, initiating a new series of false reports. This time, they suggested that human ships had found a way to hijack Meridian vessels remotely. It wasn't true, yet, but the fear it created was very real. The Meridian Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds through superior technology and absolute confidence in their systems. Now those same systems were being used to tear them apart from within. Their own communication network had become a weapon against them. Minji watched as more reports of actual rebellions came in. The subjugated species had learned from Earth's example. They had seen that the Meridians could be fought, could be confused, could be beaten. They never understood what they created when they attacked Earth, Minji said quietly, watching the Empire's perfect order descend into chaos. They thought they were crushing another primitive species. Instead, they showed us exactly how to destroy them. The Great Deception was working better than anyone had hoped. The Meridian Empire was beginning to crack under the strain of constant uncertainty, and in those cracks, hope was growing, not just for Earth, but for all the species that had suffered under Meridian rule.